Greetings, and welcome back to my channel. I'm Emmett, and today I'm joined by my brother Wyatt.
You.
So how are you feeling today?
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Ready to get creative?
It's always fun to have a project, and if you can't think of anything, then what we're doing now is a way of pointing you in the right direction. Would you like to explain what we're doing?
Sure. Okay. A while back, we had the idea that it might be fun to go about creating our own original characters. And a good way to start with that would be to put in order all that we need to craft said character.
Yeah.
So here we've got our list of everything one might need, starting with the silhouette or character type. Going down the list, we've got genre, age, gender, presentation, character damage, physique, clothes/armor, weapon, and color scheme.
Yeah.
And then here in front of us are the baggies filled with said categories.
Yeah, and so we did this once before. I'll have the pictures with editing magic.
And that, if I might say, went well, I thought.
Yeah.
I had fun with mine, and I was very impressed with yours.
Yeah,
You got yours.
I should. Yeah, I was very happy with some of the ideas I went with.
This one's just nice. It looks like something you just see on a shelf of a hobby or comic shop. Shell out like $60 for it.
Everything came together a lot smoother than I was expecting, so yeah. There were some things that I wasn't sure exactly how to mesh. Like we got like categories like a young robot female that was tough, had light armor, and like new shiny armor and stuff like that. So that's kind of what adds up, and we have a bunch of different options. So I'm very curious to see what the second one turns out like, because you could very easily go in a different direction, say if we got fantasy instead of sci-fi or stuff like that.
And just exploring our options, like one of these days, if we ever end up picking fantasy and machine, like that's very different from what a sci-fi machine would be. And I can't say I've really seen many examples of what that might look like.
Have to use our thinkity-thinkers.
Yeah, that's where the fun comes in.
Because usually whenever I think about like fantasy robots, it ends up leaning towards steampunk, which is why we did go ahead and throw steampunk in there.
Yeah, well, because why not?
Yeah. There are ways of doing about anything. That's why I like the randomization style.
Oh, I'm all about that randomization.
So do we want to get into it, Dan?
Get down to it.
First,
we turn it on.
the silhouette.
One of these days, would we ever want to play around with multiple silhouettes between your man, monster, and machine?
Yeah.
Like a man monster.
We could,
machine.
We could throw in a fourth one that's like, pick another one, or something like that, kind of. Monster.
Okay.
I was hoping, because I felt like that would give us a slightly wider variety of things, so. Circle monster.
Getting interesting already. Being honest, the hardest characters to draw for me are people. So I think monster's gonna be
because it even though it's not exactly Uncanny Valley or something like that, it touches on that idea of like the closer you get to being a human, the easier it is for us to tell that that's not quite a human.
Right.
So it can be tricky sometimes.
Okay, going for genre. We've got ourselves an apocalyptic monster.
Okay.
I am all about that, I tell you.
We have some extra baggies depending on what we get. So we can choose the monster accessories now.
Okay.
Claws.
Monster skin.
Yeah.
we've got ourselves a scaly monster.
A scaly monster. So now for the age. Adult.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, so when deciding your gender of a monster, I would assume like a male monster would just be like the bigger like alpha male, like your bull compared to like a cow. That wouldn't be quite as threatening. But then I don't know, it depends on where your mind would want to go, because some places in the animal universe, the females like spiders and some birds are like the bigger of the species.
So it'd be interesting, like if we got scaly, it'd be interesting to look into like, are there differences with like snakes and lizards and stuff like that?
And
between...
like alligators, I don't know what difference there is. I would just assume male alligators would be bigger, but who knows?
Yeah, I'm always interested in stuff like that, like learning turtles, like if their bottom shell is inwards, then it's male, if it's outwards, it's female. So stuff like that could be incorporated.
Okay, and we've got a male.
Male.
Now for
presentation!
Get Megamind. Why not?
Yeah. Not that it needs explanation, just I was going to elaborate some of my thoughts with like presentation and damage. Like, basically, I guess think of presentation as kind of the base, and then think of damage as what have they gone through, sort of.
Might I put out there that my hope is that you pick us a creepy and spooky monster.
Creepy and spooky monsters.
It's creepy and spooky.
Creepy and spooky. Creepy and spooky. Nice, simple.
Okay. Not the meanest post-apocalyptic monster you've met.
Yeah.
This makes me think I should do some dives into the varying critters in the Samurai Jack universe. That's semi-apocalyptic.
Yeah.
He meets all manner of monsters. Okay, does this nice and simple monster have any damage? It is beaten and old.
Okay.
Now I feel kind of bad for this monster. If it's so nice, who's been beaten on this poor monster?
We have Skinny Weak.
This is shaping up to be an interesting monster.
Okay.
Like, I feel like the last time everything we picked just went out of its way to give us like a real badass type of character. And now it's like, okay, monster apocalypse, but then everything else is just, oh, it's not the biggest, baddest monster out there.
Yeah.
Alrighty, picking out our clothes. Wait, do monsters wear clothes?
We can do something or other. Like, it doesn't have to be a lot of clothes.
I don't know. Just
or like, cause...
thinking of it ahead, like, so far everything we picked for this monster seems more like an animal than a character. Animals wearing clothes scare me.
But there's also armor. It
Armor.
could be. I don't know. I mean, if
I don't know, we can see what we pick and then maybe just give the option to opt out if we.
Okay.
For clothes, I picked clothing.
Clothing. He has clothing.
I'm gonna say right now, I don't like animals that wear clothes, even if they're happy little school children animals who learn to play musical instruments. Don't
Potatoes.
animals
and
in clothes.
molasses.
If you can't see 'em, put on your glasses.
There's some things in this world one might consider to be unnatural, and one of those are animals in clothes.
Although it is still supposed to be a character. I mean, if you want to lean into the animalisticness, you can. That's the point of it being up to us. You can define character how you choose.
And just my drawing background has always been, I've always loved to draw animals. Animals are not people.
Remember, animals are not people. And then I just morph into Judi Dench. Okay, so what is this? Weapons. Gun.
If I'm not wanting my monster animal to wear clothes, would I still want to give him a gun?
Have something strapped to its back. I don't know. That's the thing. It's up to you to figure out your own style. Do you want to pull up your randomizer of the numerical kind for the color scheme?
Randomizer of the numerical kind. What close encounters?
What does he say when he makes potatoes?
Oh, potatoes and molasses. It's the only thing left on your task quest. They're short and stout to make everyone shout for potatoes and molasses. For potatoes and...
That's enough!
Father.
Yeah. Okay, so we have 2 is orange.
Orange.
5 is brown.
Brown.
Those are post-apocalyptic colors.
Yes, they are. And then limbs 1 through 4.
Should I put 0 on there just in case we want a snack creature? Snack?
I guess.
A snack?
Snack. It might.
Well, I think
Yeah.
4. So.
4. Oh, okay. Snake creature might be easier for you to draw than it would be for me to make, but that would be a challenge.
You take a pipe cleaner and you wrap it in foam.
Yeah, that could work. Okay, yeah. So there are our categorize.
Gore-rise?
Categorize. Categorize.
Can you categorize a wound?
To clarify, I forgot to say before, but I assume it was implied. We will take these, and I will make something, because that is what I do, and then he will draw some. At least that is what you do. On computer. Or if you desire.
I've grown accustomed to computerizing.
A post-apocalyptic adult monster that's scaly with claws, 4 limbs, male, a nice and simple but beaten and old, skinny and weak, clothed, if you so choose, orange and brown monster with a gun. Yes.
Sounds about right.
We will go our separate ways and reconvene when we have something to present. The first problem I had to solve was that of simple and nice. Thinking of a scaly monster, it was hard not to think of like a big, scary beast. But this had to be skinny and non-threatening. Latching on to simple, I ended up thinking peasant, which could translate to wasteland settler. I started to develop a caricature. Sure, he's a mutant monster, but he just wants to make his way in life. Kind of like a Quasimodo type. He tries not to see himself as a freak, but just a person who's a little down on his luck. As if life has kicked him in the nards a few times. I looked up pictures of snakes and lizards to analyze their skin, but something about this guy spoke to me. He just looks so done. I think life has kicked him in the nards. If he has... There you go, kids! For the claws, I first thought of anteaters. They have big claws, but no one's really threatened by them. Plus, I always thought it was interesting how they walked on their knuckles, with the claws sticking out behind. Once I was there, though, I realized I was also thinking of sloths. Sloths really stuck with me. They're skinny and slow, and they walk that line between being cute and freaky, especially when wet. If there's anything more down on its luck than a wet sloth, I don't want to see it. So lizard sloth it is. When starting on the body, I really thought this was going to turn out way too creepy. I wanted folksy, darn it, not spidery, but as I got all the details on, especially the face, it ended up kind of charming. For the scaly skin, I took the Dremel to the foam and made a bunch of little marks using the very edge of the bit. These weren't as visible as I wanted them to be when they were covered in paint, but they still add to the texture. For bigger scales, I glued cardstock onto select places. I would have put more on, but I didn't want to bulk it up or make it look too spiky. So I thought of it more as selected armor. One arm actually has more than the other because I wanted part of it to look damaged, like the scales fell off. Speaking of damage, I dolloped some hot glue onto certain places that will be painted like sores, lumps, and mutations. Then I took the Dremel to it once more and carved gashes and scratches in the skin, using a cutoff wheel. I also burnt parts of it with a lighter. Now for the painting. Actually, you know what? It's me. I made it complicated. Basically, it's just smudgy orange on the front and smudgy brown on the back. At one point I tried to paint on individual yellow scales, but that just turned out looking like polka dots, so I mostly covered it up. And now for the clothes! Whew. You know, this sounds so complicated when I try to sum it up. It's strange to think that I got it all done in like 3 days. I wanted him to have real wastelandery clothes, but I didn't know how much clothes to give him, so I made it all removable. I sewed and glued the top halves of some overalls and a shirt. I cut the trim off of an old flannel shirt and made that into a scarf. I was aiming for his torso to look a little smaller than a person's. The shirt looks good, it's nice and baggy. Almost a little too baggy? But the overalls ended up a bit small. They look good on him, but they don't really match the size of the shirt. I guess Mr. down-on-his-luck post-apocalyptic lizard sloth scavenger dude could have found differing sizes of clothing and just worked with what he had. So it doesn't really bother me. To weather the clothes, I bleached, burnt, and scrubbed them with sandpaper. Then I made him goggles and a gun. I wanted the gun to look pretty chunky, kind of like early guns, basically just a barrel strapped to a plank of wood. I used foam clay for the handle and a straw for the barrel. My foam clay is getting old, so I wanted to use as much of it as I could. But at first it kind of turned out looking too much like a cannon, so I actually had to kind of unbulk it. This was actually the longest part of the process because that clay takes a long time to dry. I waited almost a full day. I'm not the most patient person. And even then it like was kind of squishy on the inside when I tried to sand it down. But it dried eventually, and then I was able to sand it and shape it and paint it appropriately.
2 weeks later.
And we're back. And if I seem a little lackluster, I got all the teeth.
Oh, your teeth.
I got my wisdom teeth removed.
Fun.
And I've had several days to recover, but I still feel a little bit like someone's grabbing my face and going, "Squeak!"
At least you can speak.
Yeah, at least I can speak. Waking up from anesthesia, I was like, how silly am I gonna be? It was nothing. I was just so numb and bloated.
So just another day.
Okay.
Okay, big reveal time.
Big reveal time. Do we want to do a countdown? Like 1, 3, 1, 1. Okay, go. I was wondering if that was going to pop up, but it, something that I forgot to clarify, the limb count being
you
4.
never did. I
kept asking.
I gave him 4 limbs.
Uh-huh.
As I was doing it, that thought ran across my head, ran across my face, and I figured maybe in the future we could leave it up to the folks.
I was thinking, yeah, we should bump it up to 6 and then just have it be limbs, and you can decide whether it's arms or legs. But like with a robot girl, that was 4, and we took it as 4 arms.
And I forgot that because on our sheet
it
just
says limbs instead of arms.
arms.
So that's a discrepancy we're working through. But yeah, I went with 4 arms and then little useless legs.
I like that. As per the use, you outdo me in terms of creativity. Even though I took like 4 times longer than you.
Which is the opposite of last time. Because last time, like, you got it knocked out in a weekend,
right
and it still took me the full week to get it done. And his clothes can come off if you want to inspect more of his body.
So, last time, I was obsessing over making an animal, as you all know. And somewhere along the way, by the time I get home, I'm like, no, wait, it's character design, character exercise. So I'm like, no, let's make it a character. Let's keep his clothes. Let's keep his gun. Man, yeah, well, once again, you astound me, boy.
What went through my head was lizard sloth.
Okay.
So that's kind of where
That checks out.
thinking long, skinny arms that aren't inherently creepy, I went to sloths. And that's kind of where I got the claws too, like thinking of their long claws.
See, that's a good idea. For me trying to think of someone scaly who had claws but wasn't creepy, I first went with Oogway from Kung Fu Panda, but then I feel like the claws was the main element where I kind of skimped out of, because I couldn't find a way to make the claws for a like nice, likable personality, the nice, simple. So I just went with short little.
Yeah. He still has claws.
Not non-extraordinary claws.
But yeah, I really like the detail of the wrinkles.
Why, thank you.
And his neck there and stuff.
Yeah,
all the neck folds, that looks really cool.
That turned out better than I was expecting. Pretty much the entire process was rushed. That I wished I could have done more with the line art and the coloring. But what I did, I was like, no, this turned out well. I like it. Just like last time, I feel like the kid that like, oh, hey, yeah, this is pretty good for bringing my assignment to school. The teacher's sure to like this. And then I've got my little, I don't know, my little ball made out of spaghetti or noodles, pasta. And then the master pasta boy comes along and like builds the frickin' Tower of Babel out of pasta.
There were a lot of points where I was worried that it wasn't going to turn out well, but then by the time it all came together, I was like, I like this little guy.
Man! Does he have a name?
Yeah. What was it? Laser Folly.
How do you spell it?
It's an abbreviated version
Laser Folly?
Laser Folly, because
Laser.
like I forget what it's an abbreviated. Yeah.
Oh, you've got to do this.
So it's the abbreviated for Latin for lizard sloth.
Aha! That's funny. Star Wars. Take notes. We kind of like critters, aliens in our Star Wars media. That not every new character has to be a human being. There are ways to make cool critters. Look at this cool critter. He's so cool. Man, does he look apocalyptic. See, I knew the rule of the dystopia was if you want to look apocalyptic, you get some goggles. But that would have been a last minute change by the time I thought of it.
I can see this design popping up in something like Samurai Jack, though. Like, with you making that comment earlier.
This guy looks so beaten and old. But he looks like just a nice little farmer.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was aiming for.
He looks like a quail. Like you'd come across a desert planet and you'd need some help, and then he'd shuffle out of his little hole and just,
I have spoken.
Yeah.
I've got my gun and I'll not shoot you.
Look at that big gun. See, the gun was another thing like the claws I kind of skimped out of. I was just like, oh, well, let's try to do a gun. Nothing extravagant, nothing super inventive. Gotta just take this guy home with me. Put him on the shelf.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Yeah, I had not given him a name.
You've never given him a name.
Just sometimes you get in the groove, and sometimes you don't. And see,
in the groove.
Yeah, look at that damage. Is it battle damage, or is it
either burns or
nuclear
sores? Yeah, like something that either looked like sores or like nuclear growths. Because thinking of him as like a mutant critter.
Yeah, he looks very mutant. Look at his stubby little legs. Look at him Now I need a puppet version that I can control.
Even though I never figure out too many of the details, but I really like kind of starting with the brainstorming section, being like trying to come up with the character of it, sort of. And then having kind of, if I get to know who this critter is, then that helps me kind of make him.
I feel like I've gotten to know him already. But did you actually burn his clothing too? Look at that. And you planned it out so that a burned hole has his little fleshy thing, his little fleshy growth sticking out. Come on, that's so cool. Every time we do these, it'll just be an excuse to, here, Emmett, make something really cool, and I guess I'll draw something as well.
I mean, not...
You're not supposed to agree with
Sorry.
it.
I didn't know what to say. You said just saying is like my default.
I know.
When other people say things, I'm like, yes. I like to make things.
How'd you make his face?
Clay.
Clay!
I used some of that, like what I used to make Baby Yoda. I still had some of that clay left.
What kind of clay?
Foam clay.
Foam clay. See, I need to get my hands on some of that stuff. I feel like I could have some fun with that. I needed that as a youth.
If you ever want to experiment with this stuff, it's starting to get a little, like, I need to use it up, otherwise it could dry.
Mm-hmm. They still got duct tape in the apocalypse, obviously.
Yeah, obviously. Everything is held together with duct tape.
Look at the little detail on his tail.
The tail.
His fat little legs look like Gordo's.
Yes, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was thinking
they look just
tortoise
like
legs.
His fat little legs. Perfect for waddling.
Mm-hmm.
See, he might look nice, but don't take him off because he'll either slash you or gun you. All he has to do is do this, and then a Obi-Wan mournful wail to scare off the sand people.
I'd say that was another success. This turned out more similar than the last one.
Yeah,
the last one did seem to go in very different directions, but this is a little more like you can tell they're both lizard people that are orange and wearing raggedy clothing.
Yours is more kind of like frog lizard. I was going more dinosaur lizard.
And I like that look too, because I was
kind
trying
of like
to
one of those bone heads.
Yeah, I was trying to find a balance. When I was looking for inspiration, I found some pictures of the horned lizard from Rango with a crazy expression. So I was tempted to go that direction and have it be like desert lizard.
If you just want some great kind of almost apocalyptic critter designs, that's kind of what Rango's got. Is your robot girl? Yeah. And just setting them side by side, like it's already working for coming up with completely different looking characters. Yeah, again, I barely had a process with mine. It was just scribble until I get something that works.
And I mean, I kind of went through that process too. Like I have a lot of different.
Oh wow!
Just scribbling out.
See, I don't have the patience just for. I mean, what you need to do to get a like that. That's the process you need to go with to come up with a great design. Here, like that was the very first face I sketched, and then kind of tweak the body.
Yeah.
Going on that.
And part of it also has to probably also has to do with staying up till midnight.
That'll do.
Yeah, and just kind of being at a point where I'm just like, like I'm so tired. I'm just doing whatever looks good. And then when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, oh, okay, there's some ideas here. I was surprised by how quickly I did get the general body type going. I was just figuring out like the details of the proportions, like whether like that quick sketch, he looks more cartoony and standing. When I wasn't sure whether to give him legs or not, I was thinking of saying that he had no legs but he had 4 arms, but he just used his arms as legs, which technically that's just what legs are. But like how Doc Ock has 4 arms, but he uses his bottoms as legs. I was just kind of thinking like that. But funny, and that one was just channeling Toothless, Grumpy Toothless.
I mean, look at it, yeah.
I wanted him to have a little bit of a tune.
Who would you want to voice your character if you were in a movie?
I was trying to think of that. But like when you said Queel, I was like, I could, like maybe not Nick Nolte exactly, since that would be more like if he was old, since he's not supposed to be an old lizard, but something like that, just kind of like
What I think immediately is a Maurice LaMarche, Mr. Big from Zootopia.
Yeah. Yeah, that I can see that working.
He's got his gun.
I don't know how many times I can say this thing
Because he's
Thank
so
you.
cute, but he's so cool too.
Yeah, and I was hoping he would come out kind of like that, because I was like both lizards and sloths walk that line from being kind of cute and kind of creepy. So I was,
If a sloth jumps out at
definitely what
you
I
in
was
the
aiming.
dark and then slowly crawl towards you, it would be slightly off-putting.
So like if you met this in the wasteland and it had a big gun pointed at you and then just like
Get off my lawn!
Has Clint Eastwood ever done voice work?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if he's ever actually done voice work.
Timothy Oliphant doesn't count.
Sometimes you gotta dig deep to find what you're looking for.
It is Clint Eastwood, but it's not.
Uh,
So that was our character creation adventure. I'd say that was another success. It was a lot of fun.
on your part, definitely, no question.
Did you like?
I'd
still had
give
fun?
I'd give mine like a B. It passes, but like then that's the macaroni skyscraper.
I built a rocket ship out of macaroni.
Eh.
I definitely liked this little game,
Yeah.
and hopefully you liked it too.
I feel like I'm gonna need to up my little game.
I never know, like, whether to say the spiel or not.
Uh-huh.
There's a button down there.
Oh yeah, and I've got a button too.
You've got, yes, I've almost forgot. I wanted to plug. If you like the idea of brothers just chilling and jabbering for
About
extended
whatever
periods
they
of times, yeah, we have a podcast,
Very long.
long, but it's juicy.
That's the goal.
It's long because we say everything that must be said on whatever topic we are covering. Movie-related podcast called The Open Yawn on his channel, The Weirdos of Society. I'll have the links and stuff
Just
in the
trying
description.
to bore you with art.
Yeah,
That's all it is.
yeah. I just like talking.
Don't we all? Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the topic. Let's say everything that can be said.
No matter
Do a
how
lot of-
long it takes.
A lot of rankings and things. When in doubt, rankings.
I like that rule.
Rankings or randomization. So yeah, hope you had fun. We had fun.
Uh-huh.
See you later.